the resources you need. So just think of all the people who are here, who've sung with the choir or singing with the choir now, who are the soloists that have been with the choir, the musicians that have been with the choir, our standards who have been here a lot, and those who have come here rarely to perform. They have all come in to some degree because they trust Scott to be able to pull it off. So this is a tribute to you that they've showed up, so many have showed up today, and it is a request by me that you don't go away just because he's gone. That we have come to love you and count on you to bring us uplifting experiences. So please, stick around. You can be friends with him, but stick with us, okay? Imagine your own funeral. Imagine your loved ones making preparations for your funeral and referring to you as the late so-and-so. Or in our case, the former music director, Scott. When Scott was here, we used to do this, but now it's different. That's what will happen. Over time, you become a memory. And what this meditation is about what it is they remember about you. And the reason you meditate on your own death is so that you get to that point in your life when you are becoming a memory for someone else, and you're pleased with what they remember. And that takes a lifetime. You can't do it with a couple of spectacular acts of generosity. Maybe you can, but generally it takes a lifetime of effort, of showing up for others, of opening your heart, of being more than about yourself, about being a team player, about being a lover, about being a guide to those in times of trouble. It's about making more room for others in your life and making their life better. So if you ever wondered what is the process for becoming happy, according to Desmond Tutu and the Dalai Lama, that's how you do it. You make the world a better place, you make somebody else happy, you put somebody else other than yourself as the focus of your attention. One of the things that the choir has done that has been really good under Scott, and I think beforehand also, but under Scott, they have always come together as a family. At the end of every practice, they would generally stand in a circle. If I'm telling this wrong, you can, stand in a circle, hold hands, and say a prayer. But also they would speak out their prayers, their needs, and their desires for themselves and for their family members and whomever was involved. And that became a family inside this bigger family of this church. And that is part of what has been a support for all the people in the choir, but also for many people who are not in the choir. And that, Scott, you will be remembered for as well. It's not just the music, but it's the heart that matters. And the movement toward each other and the kindness that we can express. This funeral will not get sappy, no matter how far I go, I promise you. So reflect on what people would say about you. Are you happy with what they might say? Might you need to change now to change what will be said then? I didn't say this at the first service, but I remembered I had wanted to say this. Scott, you have done an enormous amount of growing since I've known you. It's one of those things that has really been a beautiful thing to be a part of, to see the change where quite frankly, more people are included in your circle of love. And that will be a goal that I think each of us could incorporate. To stop being so clear about who's friend and who's foe. I talk about this, it seems like all the time now, but that is the crux of what we're trying to do in this time of turmoil in the world, is to change the number of people that are in our tribe. And now there's some countervailing forces against that, but that's what we're up against, It's not just in them, it's in us. We need to change this, that we extend our tribe. And when we extend our tribe of who is us, when we die, they will say nice things about us. But in the meantime, we'll have begun to bridge this gap, which is just painful for almost all of us. So I encourage you to do as Scott has done, which is to work on yourself, to see yourself more clearly, so through that you can see others more clearly. And when, as Abraham Lincoln said, when I know a man, I don't like this man, I must know him better. When we have fulfilled that, knowing him better, we will like more people. Conclude with resolve, I shall always live my life with purpose. I shall always live my life with purpose. So, I want to tell you a little story about myself. It's pretty short. I was walking in the woods with my dogs. My dogs and I go most morning, and often if I've been irritated somewhere in the last 24 hours, I will chew over that, grind that, repeat it, dissect it, repeat it, dissect it. It's a long walk. It can be. So that day I decided I would do something different. And I had to kind of push myself to do this because habits sometimes can resist your best intentions. And so I was pushing myself to start to bless the forest as I was walking. And so I started walking with my hands like this. And I remembered this is how you see a lot of paintings of Jesus, too. It was like, da-da-da. Anyway, I was walking like this. And for as wide as my peripheral vision was, the whole of it was I was blessing all of it as I went. Now, I came into the forest with a bit of an attitude, but by the time I left, I was in a great space. This idea of giving rather than grinding, giving rather than even receiving, is the trick to happiness. So even if you don't have anything to actually do or give to someone at that moment, you can send them a blessing. That you could walk through life, you could actually drive your car through Raleigh and you could be blessing everybody as you go. I remember I used to live in a condo and I would walk down the hall, and on those days when I would remember, I would just walk like this and just feel like I was blessing every apartment as I went by. In the end, that's my blessing too. Because the very thing that you give is the thing that becomes who you are. It is you become that nature. So if you're giving people grief all the time, you become unhappy. But if you're giving love and blessings all the time, then you can only experience ultimately that. Now there will be highs and lows in your life. No super formula is out there to take all the pain and suffering away. But that's one way to make it a much more elegant life than it would be otherwise. So we come to the end of the road with Scott. He's still with us for another 10 minutes. And I just want to say, Scott, it's been quite a journey. I do remember when you first came here, Scott came here under disguise. He would not, do you remember this? He would not give us his resume. Because he came in as Ogun's assistant. And Scott had been like this superstar in different places. And so I guess he didn't want to say, I'm overqualified. But we're used to people being overqualified here. I don't know what, that wouldn't have hurt. But anyway, he comes in kind of under the radar. And when he became music director, one of the first things we did was have one of those big Christmas concerts, as you might have experienced. It's an orchestra, I mean, not a little one, but a 14-piece orchestra with all the bells and whistles, and, well, actually more than bells and whistles, with an orchestra. It's an orchestra. Anyway, that first Christmas concert, we were at the Longview Center, which is a grand old building, and there's 14 from the orchestra, and they all have their little stands and their little lights, and they're dressed in their modest black and white, but they are nothing compared to the choir that walks in with pomp and ceremony up through the choir loft and fill that place, and the audience stands and applauds them walking in. They haven't done anything yet. And all this, I'm sitting there as the nominal lead minister in this church going, oh my God, we have gone to another level. And along at that same time, there was Evelyn. Maybe that one, probably one couple of times later. I was sitting in the balcony again on our side. So the choir's up there, and I'm on the other side. And Evelyn comes around and comes up the steps, and I'm sitting there. I think it might have been with Paula, and we've been watching the show from up there. And then Evelyn takes the center of the balcony, just like this, and the choir is across the way, and it's a large choir. And the orchestra's there. And it's call and response. And Evelyn just blows the doors off. I think the poor choir had to back up every time she sang. It was impressive. And it just was one of those things where you say, well, I couldn't say anything, to be honest. I just looked at Evelyn, and she just impressed me out, and she just goes and walks off. All right. But this is one of the gifts you brought to us, was talented people who give their talent knowing it will have a great support of a professional. And we're grateful for that. Now, when you go to those Unitarians, try to bring a little God to them, okay? Because those heathens, I'm not sure they've ever... just... Yeah. Just... if they sound stupid sometime, just forgive them for being that way. It's like... So we want to bless you, Scott, if you'll come up here. And Kim, if you and Anna will come up here. Or Linda, Linda. Linda, if you'll come up now. Sure. At the first service, you didn't want to say anything. Do you want to say anything now?
I will.
Okay. Well, there's your chance. You need a mic?
Probably not.
Can you all hear?
Yeah, I was trying to think of what I would say if you asked me to talk. And, I don't know how many were at the Michael Gott concert, but one of the things I said at the end of that concert to Michael, and I'd like to say that to you and to you, is that there's no words in the English language, and possibly in any other language, that can really express the depth of my gratitude for being at Unity of the Triangle. The choir. It's been a privilege and an honor, and we've learned so much from each other. My vision was to present all kinds of music to all kinds of people, and I certainly did all kinds of music, and I certainly met all kinds of people. And I just can't be more honored and more grateful. Thank you.
We're sad, but we're Unitics, so we know God has a higher purpose. The choir has asked me to give you a little bitty token of our appreciation and our love. You have no idea what it's like to be up here in those formals and to feel what we feel when that music comes through. One of the things Michael Gott told us was a great music director works with a whole lot of love and a little bit of fear.
I think he said it the other way around.
And I think that's one of the reasons that we've been able to pull together these concerts. To be truthful, I walk up there and go, we're not ready. There's no way. And then somehow, it's because Scott's believed in us when we could not believe in ourselves. What a run. Thank you, Scott. And we just want you to know that we love you and we want the very, very best for you. and we present you with this small thing.
Thank you.
That's very nice.
So Scott, it's our time to bless you.
Do you want me to hold it?
Do you have an umbrella?
You want me to hold it?
Well, let me say something first. You know that I love to do this rose petal blessing because each time I do it, I just feel the presence of the Holy Spirit through me, blessing either a married couple, and in this case, you. Again, I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for sticking with us and bringing all of your passion and your gift. And I would like for everybody, as I shower him with the rose petals, like I say when I do a wedding, that the rose petals symbolize beauty, purity, and love. And I'm going to affirm that each of these petals represents a person from our congregation saying thank you. And they also represent every meditation, every song you've played, every concert you've offered. And life is saying thank you and move forward to continue doing God's work and being the light that you are. Okay? And we're going to do the prayer of protection together. The light of God
Surrounds you. The love of God enfolds you. The power of God protects you. The presence of God watches over you. Wherever you are, God is, and all is well.